my name is Daniel Sito. I'm the founder and head of Sesameed Education. We're very privileged to have two families with us today. The first family, the student himself will be presenting, Kazuma Iwata. And Kazuma has received offers from Choke Rosemary Hall, DFU Academy, and Milton Academy. And he has chosen to attend Choke Rosemary later on this school. And the second family is student AP, and AP is in England right now, and his parents will be the representatives to our sharing today, Daddy and Mommy. Now, AP has been admitted into Kent School, Mercersburg Academy, Middlesex School, Northfield Mount Hermon, Singapore School, and the Taft School. Wonderful. So to everybody, this is a student Kazuma and parents of AP. To begin with, Kazuma, would you like to give a brief introduction of yourself?
Sure. I think Daniel already mentioned a bit about who I am. Well, I'm Kazuma, and I am a Japanese student, but I live in Singapore. I've been here for 10 years now, quite a long time. And currently, I'm a grade 8 student at an international school here in Singapore. And I applied as an incoming grade 9 or an incoming freshman. So I'll be joining as a grade 9 student. And I got offers from Choke Rosemary Hall, Deerfield Academy, Milton Academy. And I'll be going to Choke Rosemary Hall from this fall.
Thank you. Would AP Daddy and Mommy give a brief background of AP as yourselves, please?
Hi, my name is Pattera. I'm AP's mom. AP says he's actually now enrolling at Oundle and in the UK. We decided to apply for the US senior boarding school. Like it's really because Daniel has an exhibition during November time. And we have heard so much about the American boarding school, and his actually AP's brother TT wants to try out, right? So I thought that if TT were to apply, then we might as well just move AP to the US as well. So he has a very little time. I believe, from what I remember, it was December 15th. that we decided when the time that AP is actually back to visit home during the winter break, and we'll kind of have a talk with him, and he said, okay, why not, just give it a try, then let's try out. And so here we are. Next this coming September he will be joining St. Paul. It's quite a big move, but we have achieved a lot with a very short time.
Yes, indeed. It was the time that we decided to apply. It was more closer towards Christmas time, and then January the 15th for the audience. January 15th is the deadline for the application submission. So we were in a rush to prepare the student to work with Daddy and Mommy and to get everything sorted out. So it was a really, really crazy time to pack it all in. So for those families, if you have friends who are still sitting on the fence and they're unsure, is it doable if you kind of make a late decision? Yes, it is doable. Now, but it requires lots of work, but it is doable. Now, I would like to pass the microphone back to Kazuma. Kazuma, would you like to share about your journey as to how it began? When did you decide to attend boarding schools? And how was this journey from beginning to January 15th?
Yeah, so initially, I wasn't planning on applying to US boarding schools. I was happy with my current school. I was planning on graduating and then moving off to college. But last summer, I had nothing to do, so I had to do something. I couldn't sit at home and watch Netflix all day. So, so I found some of the summer programs that these boarding schools were hosting, and then I attended the 5-week program at Choke. And then I came back. I was like, I have to go. I told my parents, probably persuading my mom was one of the harder parts of the process, but yeah. And so then after that, after I came back in the summer, me and Daniel, we started working. And some of the reasons why I wanted to apply at the summer program, I really felt that the sense of community these boarding schools have were absolutely amazing. It's different from what you get at a day school, because at day school, I mean, yeah, you might have close friends, but unlike boarding school, you go home every day, right? But at boarding school, you sleep, you eat, and you learn with your friends, right? And your teachers as well. So the bond, the relationship you have with them is so much stronger. I mean, I went for 5 weeks and I made some of my best friends there, right? So I think that was one of the things that really pulled me into boarding school.
And for AP, what was his chief motivation in applying to the American boarding school? Now, he is already studying in the UK in a very good and reputable UK boarding schools. What was his motivation in considering to come over to America?
It's a big move, by the way, because we do believe that studying in UK is a lot easier to manage according to logistics, because it's only 12 hours flight. Within 12 hours flight, going to the US, especially on the East Coast, it probably take us like 20 hours. So if something happened, it's very difficult for us to catch a flight and manage everything. So UK is our first choice, and we have a lot of friends that send their children to UK boarding school. But after 2 years in UK, we see that there's a lot of development that AP has gained has been gaining from the school, especially how to manage his own time, the independency, and also responsibility. So we have that kind of impression. But after we visit the event in Bangkok that Daniel organized, Sesameed Education organized, it's really eye-watering. I never looked at a boarding school before. I even laugh at some friends that send their kid to American boarding school because it's really far, and they may not have a lot of Thai friends. But after we visit that event, surprisingly, I met a lot of friends there. I mean, a lot of my friends and my wife's friend there, surprisingly, is coincident, because the children are alumni, and the school, invite them to join this kind of event as well. And most of them told us that, there's no regret at all. If they have, more children, they're gonna send them to American boarding school. That's made us come back to talk about this. And when my second child, our second child, talking about possibility of going to American boarding school. Well, by the way, during that event, so 3 of us, my wife, my second son, and myself, we separately, go to booth by booth, without tagging together. So we separately, approach each of the booth one by one. So you can see that everybody has his own interest. But my impression is that after come back, my second son said, "Hey, Dad and Mom, I want to, try this opportunity." So I told my wife, "Let's give it a try. Call Daniel."
So he got a few offers from the junior boarding school as well.
Yeah.
All the top junior boarding schools admitted TT.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and because of that reason, when the eldest one, AP, heard about it, he said, "Hey, what about me? I want to, take a look at it as well." So when I consider, AP spent 2 years in UK, so he has a lot of friends. When I go to, UK and I see people stop by and greet him, I feel like, whoa, he has a lot of friends. Some of them, doesn't matter where they are coming from. Some of them live this neighborhood country like Singaporean, Malaysian. Some of them are Ukrainian and Russian. And when they are in the boarding school, they become friends. And yeah, just like Kazuma said, they live together, they spend time together. So the bonding is quite, strong. I think in American boarding school, from what we touch from alumni, touching from, school visit, we see that kind of sense and even stronger. Because, I think for some reason, open society in America that really help, people to help each other more than, using the rule base, like in UK. So this would create like a very strong bonding among all the students. So I can sense that from, when you have event in Thailand, all the alumni show up and try to support the school. That means they love the school. Why they love the school? I
They
don't
must
think
have a good experience.
something that they cannot force them to love the school. Yeah. So this is something that we have impression and we agree to start the process.
Thank you, AP Daddy. And I would like to ask Kazuma, from your angle, you have visited schools 2 times, right? First, during the summertime, and then later on, actually, you have visited schools 3 times. First, during the summertime, and then a number of schools, you conduct your interview on campus, right? And then of the schools that admitted you, you went back a 3rd time for the revisit day. Can you share a little bit with the audience your views of American boarding schools? I mean, you watch it 3 times, right? And why 3 times? Can you also share with the audience? Why not just 1 time, right? Why do you have to go, 3 times? And what do you learn with each additional visit?
Yeah, the first time I went, it was during the summer. So at Choate, yes, there were some students, but they weren't actual Choate students. They were summer program students. And I visited Deerfield, Hotchkiss, and St. Paul's. Those were the schools I visited after that, during the summer. But none of those schools actually had students on campus at that time. And so you can't really get a feel of how the school is because all you're looking at is the facilities. And what really makes a boarding school is the students, is the people in the school. So that's why we decided to go back again for my interview. And it really does change your perception of the schools. There's learnings like that. So I think it is really important that you just, I wouldn't say it's important you go more than once. It's just important to see the students. And the final time I went was during the revisit day. So basically, you get to join, classes and all. That's only if you're admitted. But honestly, I think that's also an extremely valuable experience because you're basically living in the shoes of a current student for an entire day. So you kind of get a feel of, oh, this is how life is going to be like, when you go into the school. And well, that's why I visited the school so many times.
And for AP Daddy and Mommy, you all went with AP to visit the schools during the revisit days. Can you share a little bit of your observations of those schools as well?
We actually, every school, I would say that from the experience that I'm going to share with you, because I also visit a lot of UK boarding school and then the US boarding school, right? So the US are very open. So we visit a few schools, and every school was very. They're trying to show us all the facilities and everything, but every school they also show us the sense of communities. Like they're trying to show who they are by, you get to talk to the teacher, to the students, and then you get to actually sit in a class, and he's really sit down and studying with the student, the current student. And I am more impressed with after the visit, like they exchange the Instagram, and then the students send the audio. It's like, hey AP, we really like you, we wanted you to be here this September and all that. So already we're very emotional attached to some of the school, and that's this is something that I've never seen before. And I think for being a parent that has to send the kids 24 hours away by plane, it's very important to imagine that he will be in a very good and warm community, that everybody happy and look after each other. That's the sense that I get from the US boarding school. Yeah.
Thank you. Kazuma, you had briefly introduced yourself, in terms of where you're from, where you're going. Can you share with the audience a little bit about your profile? Because we have been talking about American boarding schools are very much into interesting profiles, not just students with good academic scores. That goes without saying. Of course, that's a given. But among so many good students with good scores, how do you stand out? Can you share a little bit about yourself, your interests, your extracurricular profile? What makes you unique?
Yeah, so like you said, Daniel, academics is like a mandatory thing, and it's like a baseline criteria. Everyone has that. So you have to make sure that you stand out. And I think one of the things that really made me stand out was my athletics. I'm a really passionate soccer player. I've been playing for about 9 years long, quite a long time. And of course, my soccer shows, my skills and my achievements. But not only that, I think it really showed that when I have a passion for something, I can really get the motivation to drive myself to achieve greater success. And so I think that was one thing that really made me stand out. Other than that, I had some interesting things that I didn't even know that I could talk about. Like, for example, I had an interest for food, a really big passion for food. And initially I thought there's no way I could talk about this in a formal, interview, right? But through my conversation with Daniel, he told me that this was something that made me unique. It was part of me. So I think those small things also really made me stand out compared to other students.
Yes, indeed. American schools very much look into the personality. And that's why interview is, first of all, mandatory for all incoming students. No one can get admitted into an American boarding school, a top one, without having gone through a successful interview. So while the scores are important, those are like on paper, right? They really care about whom they're admitting, bringing onto the campus, and their life, their interests, their passions are all very important. So your love of food is part of you. It's part of what defines you, right? And part of what makes you interesting to the community. I would like to also ask AP the same question. AP Daddy and Mommy, can you share a little bit about AP's profile for the audience reference, so that they get to understand more what type of students top American boarding schools look for?
What he's really passionate about is music. So he loved music. He wrote his own song, and he made it as a gift. Like my birthday, he wrote me a birthday song. I think that is something he really loved. But besides that, musical. And when he go to UK, he was introduced to some of the new sport that he never played, like rugby. hockey, and I think he fell in love with it because when he come back home, he always talking about rugby, hockey, and music. So that create a character that he is very strong at. So when he go to the US and apply for it, one of the school mentioned about each student that got offered character. So the head of admission, explained about each of the student that got offered, and we can identify right away which one is APs. So that means the school carefully select student by characters, personally. Yeah, and that's give me the impression of I think we make the right choice to look into American boarding school. So when he applied for it with that kind of personality and character, I think they take it right away. Some of the school that we got offered, they even asked my son, AP, to start his own work and convince other students to join, and school will invest, building the whole facility to create a new, chapter in the school. I was so surprised that, the school can do that. But compared to UK, American boarding school has a lot of endowment that they can invest.
Wonderful, wonderful. Now, Kazuma, back to you. Now, even though you have your set of interests and passions, that did not immediately translate to a great interview. So, in the course of preparation, which for you, which was like half a year long, right? After summer school, then your mindset becomes like all vested in, right? I'm going for boarding school. So about 6 months worth of a preparation time. Can you share with the audience about your journey? What did you do over those 6 months? And more important, now that you look back at last year, those 6 months, how did you grow as a person, as a teenager? How did you grow? What were some of the setbacks that you remember? And how did you overcome it? And maybe, because you use Sesameed, you use a consultant. And can you share a little bit how your consultant helped you through that journey as well?
Yeah. So, like I said, I started right after Choke, right after I came back to Singapore, and the first step was brainstorming. So I had to build my own profile, and honestly, it was a bit challenging, but there was lots of learning as well, because you don't actually spend every single second of your day thinking about who you are, what do I like, what are my goals, why do I want to achieve those, but I think that brainstorming stage really allowed me to kind of think about myself in a way that I usually don't, and so that really gave me a deeper understanding of who I am. And I think that as a person, I've grown in many ways. For example, right, my interview, Daniel, I'm pretty sure you know this really well. At the start, it was disastrous, absolutely disastrous. And my mom was listening to one of my earlier interview sessions and interview training sessions, and she told me afterwards that she thought she was gonna have a heart attack. And because it was just so bad, But it was only because I didn't really have the opportunity to talk to adults that I didn't really know. It's not something you do every single day. But through my training with Daniel, that's gotten much better. Now I'm able to talk to people like this quite comfortably. And so I think that is something that has helped me not only in this application process, but just life in general. And some of the setbacks or challenges I faced, I think the biggest challenge is just how complex this entire process is. Because, for example, in Japanese middle school and high school, the application process is just purely academics. But for US boarding school, of course, you have to keep your grades up. You have to get a decent SSAT score for those schools which are not test option. But those aren't the only things. You have to get a recommendation letter from your teachers. You have to write an essay. You have to do your interview, and all that you have to do in a set amount of time. So I think that having to do many things at once, the time management is quite difficult. But that is another thing that I've kind of gained from this whole process.
Wonderful. And for AP, the time management aspect was an even like exponentially more complex, because we had literally less than 1 month time to prepare from the very beginning to the day. Okay, let's try it, and all the way to deadline. So can Daddy and Mommy share a little bit of a similar journey for AP over those like 3 to 4 weeks time? How did AP grow as a teenager, and what were some of the challenges that he faced and conquered, and any particular thing how the consultant was useful in guiding through that process?
I like to say that the whole process, I really encourage other parents though to try out, really, because especially the interviewing process, when AP needs to do a lot of interview and he did a lot of training, it's actually, the question asked is actually allowed him to really rethink of what is his purpose, what is his weakness, what is his strength, what is it that he wants to do. So it's a really a big question for a teenager, right? To really rethink, like, who do you want to be? What is it that you really wanted to contribute to the school? And AP cases is very, I would say that it's really stressful, because he has to do an online interview during the time when he went back to the UK, like early January, like before January 15, which literally he has only about 2 weeks to do so much interview. And then, but just because of a lot of school has been, but when he's on the interview with a lot of different adults, then you kind of get a sense of what to say. And I would say that it's more refined towards the end. Like in the end, he's kind of chill out, like, just talking to your friends. But really, it's a very well trained by Daniel. Like sometimes I sit in a training session, and he really pull it out, like the way to present himself and all that. And for the role of Sesameed, I was really crazy though in my idea. I have to apply. I write the application and also the parent statement, but having Daniel and Ray help out with the revise and the student essay, and in the timing, it has to be back to back. Sometimes we correct to revise the essay in the morning, and then in the afternoon, and then the time difference. I mean, I couldn't have done this without Daniel's help, really.
Okay. Yeah.
No.
And I would like, because we are approaching the end of the hour, but before we wrap it up, I would just like to invite both families to say a few words of tips or advice for the upcoming year cohort. As to Kazuma, any advice that you would like to give to your fellow friends and peers who might be considering applying to boarding school for 2025?
Yeah, the biggest piece of advice I would give to everyone is, not only students but also to their parents, is make the best use of this application process. Because yes, of course, your goal must be to get in. You can't go into this process half-heartedly, but me and my parents talked about this really often, but we were talking about how even if I didn't get in, because there was still a chance, even if I didn't get in, there was lots of learning from this application process, and that this was a very valuable experience. For example, things like time management and getting a deeper understanding of who I am. Those things are, but without this application process, I may never have considered any things. But because of this application process, it became like an incentive to think about myself further, manage my time properly. So yeah, I would say that making the best use of this application process, all the valuable lessons you learn, is the biggest tip I would give. Right.
Thank you. And for AP Daddy and Mommy, what advice would you like to give your fellow parents who might be considering sending their children to boarding schools for 2025?
I like to share from the parents' perspective, though. The boarding schools are actually really to promote our kids to be more independent, and for the American, the U.S. boarding school, when they are more flexible on the they allow the student to show their interest of who they really are. I think it's really the time when you actually talking to your children of what kind of skills that, or what is your passion, and then trying to promote that through that. So not just academics. So I think the children will actually be benefits from the system. But at the same time, I like to point out that if you were decided to join a boarding school, take it from AP's experience. I see that he has gained so much from participating in every event, every extra activities that he can join, where he can actually learn from his fellow students. For every student who would benefit, I think I always talk with my husband that this 4 or 5 years, 3, 4, 5 years is their golden years before they get into university. So try to do your best, study each school, and having a consultant is actually help shorten the time, because there are a lot of choices in the US, and at first I thought I was gonna try to apply for a school. I heard about this name. Yeah, let's try this, right? And then when I talked to Daniel, it's like, oh no, I think the school it might not fit with AP kind of personality, right? So this is a time when you pick Daniel's brain, actually, for the experience that he has. Like, okay, having a consultant is allow you to, it's kind of assure you that the school that you pick, it will maximize the time when your kids are joining high school. So I think that's just probably the best outcome that every parent is looking, because we're running against time, right? We can't waste them 1 year, 2 year, when it's gone and it's gone. So you would want it to be in school that is best fit for your child. And the application process, I mean, even like Kazuma said, like even though you might not get any offer from the school, like who knows, right? But still, you will still benefit from all the essay, the parent statement. It's actually asking the parents of what do you expect from your children. So some of this question, like, I mean, nobody asks except for the school, and then and then it's allowed parents to actually review, what do we want, and it's time to really think, kind of align our goal of what we want our student to be in life. And then for the children themselves, they also give themselves a time to revise themselves as well. This is my strength, this is what I want to do, but I haven't quite finished it, and all that. So just get in there, and your experience is like how we have experienced it.
Well, I like to add a few things to me, because I'm a busy dad. I don't really have time to focus on this, and most of the work has been done by my wife. So kudos to her. But with having engaged with Sesameed education, I think that's really helpful because Daniel didn't just do advice, but he also provide a lot of full spectrum services from assessment, preparation, and also be the second line of defense. When I say that is, I mean, when you have problem, doesn't matter what it is, you can seek advice from him. We don't know how to communicate with this and that. He give advice, and he told us, and I bought it right away. He said, "Daddy and Mommy, you only have 3 children. I have hundreds of them. I have thousands of them through my experience. So I bought it right away because this is what it is, right? So it's shortened our process. We make it viable because of we use a service. And this is not trying to sell, but 2 weeks of application make it possible to I think
Eat this much.
and 2 children, not just one.
Yeah.
Yeah, he make it possible. I don't think we can do it without his help. That's what I want to say. Yeah.
That's very kind of Daddy and Mommy of your words. I have to say that AP and TT, they were brilliant to begin with. So that makes my job much easier. So I'm just kind of fanning the fire, but the fire was already strong to begin with.
Thank you.
I would like to open up the forum because I'm conscious of time, and I would like, this is a Q&A session, and I also understand this is more or less the end of our set hour. But for those parents who can spare a couple of extra minutes, I would greatly encourage you, now that we have 2 families who've just gone through the process out here, please feel free to raise any question and answer to them so that they can help address your specific needs. So I would like to open up the forum, please. Would Peter and Mint please facilitate?
Yes. Okay. Thank you both, Mommy, Daddy, and Kazuma. Got a couple of questions, Daniel, already from the audience. One of them, I think, is directed to you. The person says, "Can Sesameed help if the U.S. boarding school my child interested to apply to was not present in the boarding school fair?"
Oh yes, of course. I try to bring in as wide a spectrum of top American boarding schools into the fair. But the fair is only limited by the space. There are only about 30, maximum we squeeze in 35 schools, and there are so many good schools in America. And also, some of the schools, they really want to come, but they can only come in October, not in November, or sometimes in December, but not in November. Even in November, might not be on that particular day. So a lot of logistics concern, so we might not to bring in everybody. So, but the application process is the same, and I am familiar with all the top boarding schools in America and outside of it, and so I will be able to help families to pick and choose among all the great options out there.
Thank you, Daniel. Okay. I have another question coming from the audience. This is for the families, for Kazuma and AP's families. So the question was, what were the most important criteria for you when selecting a boarding school? So who wants to answer first?
I would say I leave the decision making to my children and child. So, but the criteria that I give him advice is, you need to look at the community. That's the first of all, because that's the reason why you go to boarding school. You need to spend time with your peers, and as well as academic perspective. So we got a chance. My wife and I got a chance to sit in the class, English, science lab. The way that American teaches, I think is so much different from others. So when we sit in, Even my wife said, I want to go back to school.
It is true. I mean, the teachers when they demonstrate, like it's just so fun to be in, and I feel so jealous for the kids. I mean these days. I mean, I like to add with that. So, of course, we look at the school reputation because then we believe that it's kind of pre-screened of what kind of the teaching qualities, staff, and also the communities. But in the end, AP is the one who final the decision. It's up to him, like how he feels that he will fit in with the community, because in the end of the day, he will be the one who's studying there, and he'll be spending time like 4 years in the US, so not just us, but definitely he needs some guidance like from us at the beginning. But in the end, I like to say that the children will be the one to choose.
Yeah, for me as well, I would say something similar. I really looked at the community of the school because I am the one spending 4 years there. Look, if I don't see myself in that community, if I don't see myself thriving, having fun there, there's no point of going to that school because I'm having enough fun at my current school. My current school is really good and I'm enjoying it, right? What's the point of switching then? So I really looked at the people, especially when I went to the revisit day, where I could go into the classrooms, listen to all the discussions they were having with each other. And yeah, so the reason why I chose Chope, I just felt that the balance between academics, athletics, and the fun that all the students were having, it was a really nice balance. Because I mean, of course, the academics is there 100%, and Chope has a really prestigious athletic athletic program, and the students, they're always laughing in the hallway, talking with each other, having fun, and the school is extremely diverse as well, which would be quite a close environment to what I am experiencing right now. And yes, those were kind of some of my criterias when I was deciding on which school to choose.
Hey, thank you all. I do have one more question, but this one is probably more to Kazuma. The question was, how did you balance your academics, extracurricular activities, and the actual application process when you were actually applying to the boarding schools?
I mean, it's actually quite hard at least I found it hard to manage all of that myself at this age. Of course, I tried to do everything as independently as possible, but there's some input from my parents, of course, from Daniel and Ray, and they really helped me to manage everything. And so, for example, right, Daniel was the one who told me, maybe you should take your SSA there on this time so that you could finish your essay afterwards. And that kind of scheduling, and I'm not talking about scheduling in like the days, but more like in the looking at months, and like in the long term, you want to have goals. I want to finish this by this time, and I would say that makes it really helpful. Since you have a plan beforehand, and I guess that was how I sort of managed everything.
Great. Okay, Daniel, I think those are the questions that we have for now. I think, and also for the interest of time, I think it's almost past 8:30. So back to you.
Okay, and thank you once again to everybody who came to spend an hour of your evening with us tonight, learning about American boarding education. Thank you all for coming, and have a great, wonderful evening.